Welcome back. Friday Dose, the Backup Monster show. We have two guests today, and our main subject is in hyper-converged world. Let me introduce the first guest, Wojciech Furmankiewicz from Red Hat. Welcome, Wojtek.
Hello. Nice to
It's
meet
a pleasure to have you here. What do you do in Red Hat, basically?
Well, telling stories.
Telling stories.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a few stories today?
Yeah, hopefully I will, yes.
Great.
Looking after pre-sales organization in Central Eastern Europe. So it's about supporting the sales process. Telling the stories, they're telling some really amazing stories because we have a lot to say, a lot to influence.
I did my research and I know that you are a big fan of the motorcycles.
Right.
Let's start with the quiz. How many of the types of the motorcycles you can right now describe and tell?
I don't think we have enough time for that.
No, go on. No worries.
So it's just like classic bikes, sport bikes, touristic bikes, which I'm fan of. Off-road, those cross really crazy bikes, or just enduro, like universal dual sport things, and so on.
Okay, so
Scooters.
and scooters.
This is not a
Scooters and Harleys, not
It's not
really.
a motorcycle.
Not really, no.
And the choppers are
Yeah.
not motorcycles. This is the chopper, baby.
And what do you think about choppers? Because I had lots of it's always war. The choppers doesn't like the touristic guys. The touristic guys doesn't like the choppers. What is the true story?
It's not that we don't like each other.
Okay.
I just think I still have some hair. Maybe not time yet for choppers,
Okay.
Maybe.
If you're talking about your, also question to the band. When this photo have been took?
Definitely Austria.
I would say it is Alps in Austria. To be
I
more
agree.
specific.
Which is actually Alps in Austria.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
They knew it. They
they
knew
knew
it. They knew it.
I was there. I was there. I'm also
You were-
riding
you
the
were there?
bike. Yeah.
What is the story behind?
It shows the beauty of the motorcycling, especially touristic. So you can reach really amazing places. Really something that you can stop and take your time and enjoy. And motorbike lets you do it. You climb really high in mountains and you see these kind of pictures. And a team, passion, spirit. You feel freedom, agility, speed, power, a lot of things that corresponds with the mindset, I would say, kind of culture and personality, whatever you call it.
So when I look at this picture, Wojtek, definitely you need to be brave and open-minded to have this kind of the tours. Yes, could you translate it, your personal passion, into your work?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of similarities to the open source, the freedom, the autonomy, that you feel passion absolutely, agility, speed, power, all those things are corresponding with open source. When you think about, for example, the other side of the world, like proprietary, so I always think about the guy sitting in a car in a traffic jam. They just stick to, like this vendor lock-in, that tells the difference. Whilst motorbikes then don't stay, they can continue, to move on.
This metaphor to open source, it's saying that when you're using the open source tools and the software, you can much more speed up when everybody is stuck in the traffic.
It's even not about the speed itself, but you move on, you continue,
Okay.
you're not stuck. On the other hand, there are guys on the loudly sport bikes that are crazy. They have as much fun, of course. For me, it's when we come to the analogy, when someone is using upstream community version of open source, you have fun, you have this a lot of things of the same kind, but you lack the safety, the rules, etc. So I prefer something in the middle, like really not speeding too much, like obeying all the rules, keeping safe, but having the same fun and possibilities.
Our topic today is hyper-converged, but let's start with the converged in IT. How this movement, this converged infrastructure is changing the perception of today IT?
So basically, converged or convergence. When you take a mobile phone,
I
normally
don't have it. I'm not using it.
normally you would have to
Yeah, for
carry.
sure.
I'm also not in the social media, so
Just don't believe it.
I'm always using my old desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normally you would have to have a camera, I don't know, a laptop with an internet connection and a phone, 3 devices or more, right? Otherwise you can have just a smartphone for that. So it's like a basic example about the convergence or converged system.
Okay.
And then
Put more pieces into one device.
yeah, in one
actually.
device to optimize, like really something smart.
I have an idea to our audience. If you could put below this post the comment, what is the converged definition for you? And the best answer will get the Backup Monster hoodie from our bag.
Noticed.
Got. Please comment. Wojtek, it's the time to introduce our next guest. So let me introduce the Adam Marcinkowski from Nutanix.
Yo.
Adam, thank you for your time that you join us. Two major questions, like always. What do you do in Nutanix? The first question. And the second, I heard about some rumors about skiing.
Yes, so first of all, I just joined Nutanix. Basically, I'm the first guy in the country, so I do pretty much everything. But more precisely, I'm a pre-sales engineer. So what I do is actually I'm trying to help customers selecting or choosing the best technology for them.
Okay.
Yes, when it comes to hobbies, yes, I love all the winter sports, but it's not just that. I also like the gaming, as you probably know. So I spent pretty much all my childhood playing computer games. So all let's say 20 years or more, a couple of hours daily playing.
So you
pretty
hide in a room. You
well,
play.
I didn't have to hide, but
Okay.
yeah, my parents were great, so they didn't really have a problem with that. But yeah, I was playing a lot of on my PC. These days it's more difficult, of course. I recently became a father, so as you know, having a
Great for
little
you.
one at home. Thank you. Trying to have some spare time in a couple of hours, I can just imagine.
So just playing 16 hours instead of 20 right
I
now.
wish. Yes. So
So
right now,
when you were saying gaming, what type of the games?
well, actually, I was playing pretty much everything that was released over the last 20 years. I mean, the major titles, right? I wouldn't say that I played all of them, but all the titles like Battlefield, StarCraft, Quake, Counter-Strike, exactly. So I played all
You're
of them.
also playing a lot.
Yeah. No.
I'm not talking about the games. Oh, sorry. Go
No
on.
worries, yeah. So, but these days I'm trying just to be on top of what's happening in the gaming industry because basically I just don't have free time for that.
So guys, we have both of you, so it's time to ask you a question. What is the hyper-converged? And what does it mean to you, to your companies, to your personal opinion? Because I see this is a huge movement in this area.
Yeah, it
Adam?
is. And first of all, I would say what hyper-converged is not. And this is not the box you are placing another box in your data center. It's way more than that. So I often see that customers or partners are trying to compare the current legacy infrastructure to the hyper-converged by just replacing one box with another. And the reality
But this is actually marketing is doing it. Replace this one
yeah.
into the box. But
Right.
you're saying it's not.
It's not just
exactly
that.
just
yes.
that. Okay.
It's way more than that. It's actually about simplifying the IT, right? So it's about simplifying the whole stack in your data center, simplifying the management, the operations, troubleshooting, everything. So I would say that hyper-converged is a new way of designing DC, and by that I mean simplifying everything.
Okay.
What
Wojciech?
is it? Excuse me.
What is it?
Spaghetti?
Yeah.
No, it's an Italian data center.
Okay.
Looks like Asian.
I think we can find this picture all around the world. But coming back to the question, Wojciech,
So yes, in a
what the
second-
mess mean
so
to you? Yeah?
This is perfect example when someone is using virtual machines instead of containers,
Okay.
It's perfect example. And of course, it's not hyper-converged system. So for me, something that actually initially was planned for a small environments like robo, remote office, branch offices, things, but can get traction also in bigger environments. It's basically something that that you can buy easily because it's like bundled, deploy easily and operate easily. It's hyper-converged system. It optimizes the usage of an infrastructure, you know, and really
But
simplifies things. I agree very
Does
much.
it simplify and decrease the costs, or simplify also the operations? So who will get, who will be the most beneficial from taking and investing in this technology, guys?
Well, the company itself, because when you have people who can focus really on the business and the applications and not spending time on the maintaining operations in the DC, that's the great benefit, right? So the whole company can focus on really what's important today, so workloads, applications, business, not the infrastructure itself.
Okay. Wojciech?
Yeah, I agree. Although it's not a solution or remedy for everything, because if you put together compute and storage and networking, those components don't scale the same way, right? So it might not fit every use case. But for example, when you have like scale-out environment, like huge scale containerized applications, etc., you always need some control plane or something which is static, and it's the perfect fit for hyper-converged system. When you put a number of boxes hyper-converged, you keep them their databases, the control plane systems, and the rest is like.
One more picture, guys. What about the IT specialist? Because I know that you said I believe the hyper-converged is not for everybody. And what will be the major benefits from using the hyper-converged infrastructure?
So I think that's a great example of someone who didn't implement the automation system properly or at all, you know. So have to do things manually, and sometimes you need to jump under the racks and do things like that. Yeah, I've gone through this kind of operations myself as well.
So most of the hyper-converged solutions, they also have like a single pane of glass when it comes to management. So usually what happens is that you land with the single console, right? And I'm not talking about just my solution, but I know that pretty much every vendor right now is doing the same. So we're trying to simplify the management for those IT guys. And like we discussed, when you have the hyper-converged solution in your data center, you're basically collapsing the stack, so you have just less footprint in there. So this kind of pictures, they will not happen, because basically instead of having like 10 racks of equipment, you will have like 2 or maybe 3 racks of equipment connected to the network.
First, saving space. So
Definitely.
put into the boxes.
Put in the boxes, but at the same time, if you have less boxes to manage, and then you have less connections, less cables, so it's easier to troubleshoot.
Okay, single pane of glass is also an important part. So instead of 10 or 12 interfaces, you can manage everything from one side. So let's try to describe a typical hyper-converged infrastructure. What parts we need to have to name a solution as HCI?
So definitely the first thing is to have combined computing and storage. So that's like it's like given. But also more and more we see integrated networking and also data protection features.
Okay.
So that's something that I would describe as a hyper-converged solution today.
And what about the hypervisors level? So is somewhere there between the storage or the server?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing up the virtualization. So definitely yes. So virtualization is part of the hyper-converged. So pretty much everything right now is virtualized. So it has to be also combined to the solution.
And I think for sure it doesn't matter which hypervisor we're using.
Exactly.
But we see some trends.
Yeah, actually, it's important to pick the right, to make a right choice. And one of the best and now getting more and more popular type of hypervisor is KVM, right? So that's really good, powerful, scalable,
And again, open source.
and an open source. Yeah. Although I think the hypervisor part is becoming an option. If you think about containers, the modern containerized workload may exist without hypervisor, right? Like containerized on a bare metal even. And then when we're talking about hyperconvergence, you can also place the storage system, like on-demand, set up the storage cluster, for example, technology in containers, next to the application workload. So there's no hypervisor in this case, but the solution have the same features as.
Okay, guys, so it's the time for our contest. Did you heard about the ROAR contest?
Yeah,
We
seen
did.
it.
Okay, who would like to be the first one?
Why not?
Why not?
Give us a scream.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Ah!
Okay, that was nice.
So how about
The louder, the better.
Okay.
That was a motorcycle roar. Let's see who won, guys. Oh, Wojtek! Give us a sign and comment. Did you like the Wojtek's roar, motorcycle roar? So coming back to the technology question. We mentioned KVM. So you have something in common, and I think the market has something in common, because what I noticed is many of the enterprise customers, many of the end users is moving from the legacy hypervisors to the open hypervisors. And the question, why?
Well, I think that when you think about the infrastructure itself, it's becoming commodity, and it's the same with hypervisors. Today,
Okay.
when you launch the AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, do you really care what's happening underneath when it comes to virtualization? Not really, right? The beauty of the cloud is that you can just log in, play, and spin up your workloads very fast, and that's the direction that the IT is heading to. That's why the customers, they are starting to realize that it's not about the infrastructure or virtualization, it's about the layer above.
Mm-hmm. Wojtek?
For me, it's very important that, as well as containers, hypervisor is a part of the operating system, is really integrated and built upon the Linux. And what matters is security, stability, you know, this kind of important features that really matters. And then also performance, scalability, and this thing. KVM is a perfect example, built on a really solid platform.
If the containers will be the crucial part in every hyper-converged installation in the future. Wojtek?
It may not replace completely, but it will take bigger and bigger part. So containerized workload, microservices, you know, all these stateless things will live in containers. Sooner or later, it's just a very solid and strong trend.
So it's a matter
at
of
the
time
moment.
in your opinion?
It is just a matter of time.
Okay.
And there will be some systems that will live still in a virtualization, maybe even in bare metal systems.
Adam, what's your opinion?
I fully agree with Wojciech, and I think that also the thing is that we're discussing hyper-converged as a new way of doing the infrastructure, and the same applies to the applications, right? So the applications designed 10, 15 years ago, they just don't fit to the HCI or to the cloud world. That's why we're seeing more and more trend of doing this as a microservices, containers, and so on and so on. And that's why those two trends, so the hyper-converged and the containers, will go hand in hand, in my opinion.
So, gents, 3 tips for the audience why we should use hyper-converged. Let's start with Wojciech.
Well, so 3 tips. Comfortable position, heated grips, handbars, waterproof seat. You ride to the nice, perfect place, and you think, do you really need hyper-converged system? That's like, you need to, okay? Because this is not always the case. But when you do, then you should think about which technology you really pick, because there are several options, and you know, it's important what matters. Price is not the only criteria, but the trust with the vendor and with the technology who provides it. That's very important for me.
Okay, Adam.
Okay.
Could you share right now your 3 tips for our audience?
Yes. So first of all, why? When you're really spending too much time on the infrastructure itself, maintaining the infrastructure. Second of all, when you feel that you want to orchestrate the infrastructure, and you can use the API calls from the hyper-converged solution. And the third point is you can start small with the small installation, and then over time you can easily expand by just adding new nodes because it's a scale-out.
Okay, you heard our guests, and I think you are much more familiar with the hyper-converged world than before this episode. Give us a comment, your opinion, if it's worth and why we should go into this direction. That was a Friday Dose, the Backup Monster Show. Thank you for your attention and see you next time. Ile znasz typów motocykli?
O matko.
Jezu, jak typów? Typów.
Classic, sport, touristic, offroad.
Stop. Poczekajcie, bo nie mamy gościa. Ale to stacji sprzedażka tam muszę przykleić. Albo sobie zamówię takie
Pod kolonówki albo w
kolonówki, no.
W rajtkach przyjdź. Nie będziesz miał problemu.
Jedziemy. Zapowiadaj gościa.